Dan Lothian, thanks very much. Let's bring in our guest right now. Reza Pahlavi is the former crown prince of Iran. His father was the late Shah, who was overthrown back in 1979. Mr. Pahlavi, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you all for inviting me.
First of all, do you believe this was a free and fair election?
Absolutely not. There's definitely a fraud going on. I think millions of Iranians are quite aware that we could have almost predicted this outcome. For many years, the regime has entertained us with the false idea that there is a true, genuine democratic process in Iran, which is not the case. It's much more of a selection. But I think today, well beyond what we've seen in the big picture, I think it's a referendum.
Because I know you're in close touch with a lot of folks back in Iran right now. What are you hearing about what is likely to happen in the coming days and weeks?
Well, first of all, one of my immediate most concern is the safety of Iranian citizens. I can tell you, based on all the reports that we received, that unfortunately, not only the demonstrations, but the violence on demonstrators is much more widespread than the main cities. I've been trying tirelessly to work with key elements within the system to try to convince and to persuade security forces not to crack down on Iranian citizens. There's a human drama along other disciplines.
What about the chief opposition leader, Mr. Mousavi? You think he's safe there right now?
I have no exact information that would verify this. Most of the reports that we have heard are not dissimilar to what we've been hearing on many medias, including on this network. The escalation of militancy of this regime is something that unfortunately could be expected. And the reason I say this is because I don't think that the supreme leader and his clique ever anticipated, or perhaps I should say miscalculated. They never thought that people would be to this extent committed. Now they have to deal with the very situation.
Would you seriously believe there could be a revolution in Iran right now, overthrowing the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, overthrowing Ahmadinejad and putting reformists in charge?
Well, the climate on the streets of Iran is today asking ultimately for the fundamental right that has been denied, which is their sovereignty. This is a regime, let's not forget, led by a person who claims to represent God on earth, who controls every aspect of the country.
You're talking about the supreme leader, the Ayatollah.
Khamenei, and whatever is the group behind him. Today, the real challenge to the Iranian people, and I think for the world at large, is who are we siding with today? This is a cause for sovereignty. This is a cause for justice, for people's right to elect their own candidates, as opposed to pre-cycled, predetermined.
So do you think there will be a revolution?
Well, I think the climate that we see in Iran today is not dissimilar to a few months that led to the advent of this regime back then. But what we are appealing to, and I'd like to take this opportunity as I appeal to other leaders, but particularly to the U.S. administration and President Obama, president that clearly came with a message of human rights and hope, and especially in his recent address in his conference in Cairo.
Are you in touch with anybody in the Obama administration?
Communicating this message by various channels to this administration, but I'd like to take this opportunity and tell the President this is a crucial moment on behalf of my compatriots and millions who have been turning to the outside world, particularly to this President, to say, don't let us down.
What do you want to do?
I think it is time to really engage with the people. I think it's time to show solidarity with the people who have been clobbered by a regime that is denying their rights. I think any signal other than this will be a slap in the face of a nation if under such circumstances one could possibly assume that we have to deal with what the regime is trying to do.
Because only yesterday we heard the Vice President, Joe Biden, say that the U.S. is going to continue to reach out and try to establish a dialogue with the Iranian regime.
Well, I think it's a very tough diplomatic challenge for many governments, but having heard what Chancellor Merkel had to say, what the British Prime Minister had to say, what President Sarkozy of France had to say, I think this is time for erring on the side of caution, that under such circumstances recognizes this big fallacy that has taken place will be almost a tantamount to legitimizing this regime once again at the detriment of the people.
One final question. Do you hope someday to go back to Iran and take charge?
You know, Wolf, I wanted to say that my body might be here in the studio with you, but my soul has never left Iran. I've always been there. And I'm here committed to help my compatriot reach a status of complete, real freedom under a secular democratic system when there's a true separation of religion from government. I believe this is what most Iranians demand today. I think this is the best solution for our country, and I stand ready to serve my country in whatever capacity that my compatriot deems so. But my duty today is to help my compatriot achieve that goal, and we are coordinating with all those who are committed to us to fight this regime, which is against the people, who has been against every principle of human rights and democracy. So we can bring this hopefully by peaceful means, but we do, and I must stress this, it is vitally important for free nations in this world today to show solidarity, as they did with Eastern Bloc countries, as they did in other cases.
Critical moment potentially in Iran right now. Reza Pahlavi is the son of the late Shah of Iran. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you both for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Why is the CIA